of what is now the middle school majority of the time. But like she said, my name's Ashleigh, and I'm 30 years old, so I'm older now. And when I was 9 years old, I was diagnosed with limb-girdle type 2D muscular dystrophy, and what that is, it's a progressive muscle disease that affects my muscles from my shoulders down to my fingers and then my hips down to my toes. It's a progressive disease, and right now there's no treatment or cure for the disease, so there's nothing to kind of stop the progression. When I walked till I was about 13 years old, so when I first met Mrs. Gage, I was walking, and by the time I graduated high school, I was using the power chair full time. She said I'm a graduate of 2007, and I then went on to UNI and got my bachelor's degree in family services and graduated in 2011. I then started working for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, first in the local office, and now I have the great pleasure of working in the national sector. I actually get to work from my home, and I've been doing that for 8 years. And I'm also going to grad school to become a medical family therapist. And I live alone in my own condo, been there for 8 years, because nobody wants to live with their mom and dad once you get older. And I have home health aides that come in and help me every morning and every night. And that's actually why I'm late today, is because I have to rely on somebody else to get me up in the morning. So even though I might have a schedule, I have to rely on them to come and get me up this morning. And my girl was very late this morning, so that's why I was running late this morning. And sometimes I'll get a phone call at like 5 o'clock and saying, hey Ashleigh, sorry, but the girl we had for you tonight canceled, so you're gonna have to find someone else to put you to bed tonight. And that's a pretty regular occurrence. I'm thankful that I have a really good girl right now that is pretty consistent, but it still happens, and it's on me to work with my family and friends to really be able to come to my rescue in a way to be able to go to bed. So I am on a schedule, so I have a wake up time in the morning and I have a bedtime. So I don't know how many of you guys have curfews, but on the weekends I have to go to bed at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. So because I'm older, it doesn't really bother me that much anymore, but it's still hard. If I want to go do something out with my friends, I have to make sure that one of my friends is willing to put me to bed, otherwise I can't go. Equipment I utilize a power wheelchair full time. And how much do you guys think a power wheelchair costs? Yeah, go for it.
$10,000.
Higher. Yeah.
12,000.
Higher. Yeah.
15,000.
Higher. Yeah.
40,000.
Higher.
30,000.
How'd you say?
30,000.
Higher.
40,000?
Yep. It's about $40,000 for a power wheelchair. And a lot of times insurance will cover part of it, but not all of it. As you probably saw, I raised myself up so I can see you guys and talk louder. That is considered a luxury item on a chair. And for me, it's nice for these situations, but I need it because I can't lift my arms to eat, so I have to sit at a higher top table so that my arms are at the same level as my face. So I need this in order to eat on my own, but it's still considered a luxury item, so I have to fight with insurance to pay for it because I have to prove to them that it's a medical necessity. I just kind of wanted to talk about equipment, and I know that these chairs look like they're fun and they're cool, and you know, when you go to Walmart and you see those scooters and things like that and they look fun to ride on, just remembering that this is an extension of my body. So like I wouldn't want to get into your bubble and like lean on you just randomly or come and push on your arm to use it as an armrest or a way to get around. Just keeping in mind that if you see someone with a chair or a walker or any sort of mobile device, that's an extension of their body, and we wouldn't want anybody to invade our bubble or our space and use it as a resting point or a way to kind of get around. I do have to charge it every night in order to make sure that it works. And I have an accessible vehicle that gets me around. And how much do you think one of those costs? If a power chair costs $40,000. Yeah,
100,000.
almost that. It's about $80,000 because you have to purchase the van itself, which is brand new van is probably around $35,000, $40,000, and then you have to pay for the accommodation to the van. And for some people, it can be upward of $100,000 depending on what type of equipment they need. I'm not able to drive on my own, so I don't have any assistive devices to help me drive, but many people do. And insurance doesn't pay for any of that. That is all up to the families to cover. Insurance doesn't pay for the accommodation of the van either. I also, in order to live independently, I had a surgery done that's called an appendicovesicostomy. No, say that 10 times fast. Where they actually took 8 inches of my small intestine and attached it to a hole in my belly button to the top of my bladder so that I can self-catheterize myself. So that way I can go to the bathroom during the day if I need to go instead of having to get out of my chair. To get out of my chair, I have to utilize what's called a Hoyer lift. And the best way that I can describe what a Hoyer lift looks like, it kind of looks like a crane almost. And there's a sling that goes underneath me that attaches to it, and then it raises me up out of my chair. So that way no one's having to like manually lift me, or I'm not having to break any bones or anything like that. I also utilize a shower chair. And this is actually pretty exciting because I just got my shower chair on Friday. My old one was broke, and it took me about a year to get this shower chair. So I had to sponge bathe for the past 8 or so months. So it was pretty exciting. But again, insurance thought that it was a luxury item. And so I had to keep working with my physicians to write the insurance companies letters to prove to them why it wasn't a luxury item to bathe. How much do you guys think
What does
the
the, yeah, I was gonna ask
how
you.
much do you guys think the shower chair costs?
80,000?
No, thankfully it was only about $5,000. But still, $5,000 for a shower chair just to take a shower. It's crazy. Another one thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to like the ADA and things like that is ADA does not cover air travel. So airplanes and airports do not have to be ADA compliant. So they actually just approved all guide animals, including miniature horses, to go on an airplane. However, people in wheelchairs, we still can't take our wheelchairs onto the airplane. We still have to transfer out of our chairs into what's called an aisle seat. And the aisle seat is about this wide of paper for a person to sit on and be strapped in and yanked down the aisle. The people that they have transferring you aren't trained, they don't know what to do. I'd had to travel to DC for work a couple years ago, and I had handprint bruises all over my body because people didn't know how to transfer me properly and were just in a hurry. One of my friends, her daughter has spinal muscular atrophy, and she traveled to California for a conference, and the airline broke her power chair. So when they got to California, she couldn't use her power chair. Thankfully, because us and the community know that this is a bad situation, her mom also brought her manual chair. So she had her manual chair, but it's still sad the fact that we have to plan on the airline breaking our equipment and then having to go through them to try to fight for them to repair it, because you can only get a new power chair every 5 years. Another thing is marriage. No one is telling me that I can't get married, but if I were to get married, I would lose all of my benefits. So what that means is that I would lose the money that pays for my home health aides to come into my home and help me every day. And how much do you think it costs to have home health come into your house 7 days a week. Yeah. It's about $2,000 a week to have home health come into your house. So losing that benefit just because I fell in love with someone and wanted to get married, the job that I do, I talk to many people who come into this and they get diagnosed later in life and are happily married, have children, and because they're married, they don't qualify for benefits. So we have to have a hard conversation of, have you thought about getting divorced? Now, that doesn't mean that they leave their partner, but it means that they get that legally binding contract disseminated, so that way they aren't bound to anybody else and their money and assets don't combine. So yeah, and then just like I said, and like Mrs. Gage said, I am very open. I hope that what I talked about spars some questions. Literally anything, I've heard it all before, so I am willing to talk about anything, but just thank you guys for letting me come and speak.
Let's have some questions. What are some things you're wondering about?
Yeah.
So you're talking about the shower chair. What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's nothing super fancy. It's just some metal with some padding on it. The nice thing, I guess the fancy thing about it is that because I have a regular tub and because home modifications are extremely expensive, there's a piece that fits into my tub and then there's a part that connects the chair to the part in the tub so that the top can just slide over so I don't have to recreate a walk-in shower. Yeah.
So you said, you can't drive by yourself, so do you have to have someone drive you everywhere?
Yeah.
Considering that the town of Mount Vernon is built on a giant hill, would it be difficult for you to get around?
Yeah, so it's a great point, and I actually grew up in Martell, so I didn't have to get around Mount Vernon very often. However, uptown, like downtown Mount Vernon, Main Street, Pizza Palace was kind of the hangout when I was younger after football games, and I was never to be able to go hang out because it's not accessible, and because they're historic, they can get around the ADA because of their historic buildings. Yeah.
With your condition, do you have to have any special diets or things like that?
No, there's no special diets or anything like that. That's a good question. We were actually just talking about that.
One thing that the shower chair issue made me think about was in the past you talked about how much money you are allowed to have in savings. Because I was thinking, well, what if you bought a shower chair and then fought to get reimbursed for that shower chair if you just happened to have, $5,000 on hand? Talk a little bit about the rules for your finances.
So part of having the benefits, and the benefits are through Social Security, and Social Security, disability, and Medicaid. Part of having those is you cannot have any assets, so any savings account, any money in your checking account, any trust funds, anything like that over $2,000. So like I can't save for retirement. Even though I'm working, I can't save any money. I can't have like a 401k is the type of account where many individuals, when they're in the workforce, their employer will offer to them that they can put money away for when they retire. I can't have anything like that. I can't have a savings account. I can't have any like that. So owning a condo and things like that, when something breaks, it becomes interesting because I can't have more than $2,000. Yeah,
So you said you work, oh wait, never mind, you already said your job.
that's okay.
Do you go to like different restaurants and things like that, and are there certain restaurants that like really frustrate you with your disabilities?
Yeah, Texas Roadhouse is one of them.
Oh.
They are primarily booths, and I can't sit at a booth, because now my disease has progressed to the point where I can't really sit at a regular table anymore and eat. I really need a high top table. It kind of depends, that kind of limits what restaurants I go to that have high top tables for me to sit at.
Explain why you need the high top table.
I did already, to eat. I did that already.
Okay.
Mom's great.
How fast can your chair go?
About 5 miles per hour. Not very fast, especially when it's raining in college. Yeah,
You still have feeling in your legs?
I do. So it only affects my muscles, so it doesn't affect my nerves. That's a good question though. Yeah.
If you're only allowed to have 2,000 in like savings, where does the rest of it go?
Yeah, so it's a great question. It just goes to bills, and a lot of times if I have any extra, I'll have to give it to like my mom and dad to like put into an account and then be like, hey mom, can I have some money? Yeah.
Have you ever not been able to get help in the mornings or at night?
Yep, there's been many times where I've had to stay in bed until like 1, 2 o'clock until someone could come get me up. Yeah.
So why is it that you would lose all of your benefits if you were to get married?
Because their assets, so if they have any savings and their wage, any money wise that they have, if it's over $2,000 of us combined, I would lose it. Yeah.
So what do the people help you with in the morning and at night?
Yeah, so they basically help me with everything, helping me get dressed, helping me get in and out of bed, toileting, they do my hair, brushing my teeth, basically everything, yep.
What was it like being diagnosed in middle school? How did your friends react? What were some of the challenges just being in school?
It was honestly harder before I got diagnosed. Because I wasn't diagnosed until I was 9 years old, and I was never able to run or jump or anything like that, so I was just kind of the weird kid. And I didn't really have a lot of friends. I just walked around the playground by myself. Once I got diagnosed, it was kind of a relief for me to be like, okay, there's a reason why I can't do these things. There were certainly rumors that would go around that I was faking it or that I was spoiled, and my parents just bought me the chair because I wanted one. But majority of the time, I had a really good class that was really nice, and we were all really, really close with one another. We kind of considered each other siblings, so if we did fight, it was kind of siblings in that way, but there wasn't a whole lot of teasing or bullying that really went around. It's not like it how it is nowadays, that's for sure. Yeah.
So you said you're only able to get in your power chair every 5 years. After the airline broke your friend's chair, was she able to get a new one?
She wasn't able to get a new chair. The airline did pay for the chair to be repaired though, but it took a little while for that to happen. Yeah.
Why is it that you have to wait 5 years to use your chair?
That's just the insurance's rules. Yep. So where that can run into an issue is when we have, so Duchenne muscular dystrophy is primarily a diagnosis that it runs in males. And young males, when they start to lose their ability to walk, a lot of times it'll first be encouraged for them to get a manual wheelchair. But it doesn't take too long for them to, after they